episode 75. It's Monday. We're in the house. Plug Talk Sports. You guys know me, Danny Torres, usual suspect. Brandon, there's no Jonka tonight, but that's okay. We got to get a little rest from him. Here we are, us two. Brand new episode. Favorite day of the week when we get to hop on and talk some sports. And, dude, I feel like today's rundown, there's some weeks where like nothing happens really interesting in sports and like we got topics,
right?
But it's not like I feel like today's rundown, like there's a lot that we gotta get to.
Oh yeah.
So let's start off. We'll start off with, we did bad last time. Good news. Anything good in the past week?
So what I would have to say, the good news for me personally, got all my exams done, got the last couple of things done for the fall semester. So now the good news is I'm back in South Florida for the holidays. Finally have a clean slate, not too busy right now. So the best news so far, I get some rest, actually 7 hours of sleep. So
yeah, dude, I can totally understand that. My sleeping schedule is messed up. Anyone that knows me personally, my sleeping schedule is messed up, and I need to get on that. Good news for me in the past week. Okay, I will say that we filmed our barbershop talk. That was really good. We had 3 volleyball players from Miami-Dade College. We had Luisa from Brazil, Anna from the country of Georgia, and Alex from Bulgaria. And it was really good. Honestly, I think best barbershop talk we've had so far. I mean, there's one that rivals it. But I just think that their personalities, just the way that they are, is what made it fun, because they're genuinely they're funny girls. Like, they have funny personalities. So that's what made it fun. And obviously playing at a JUCO level, obviously my job, at Miami-Dade College, my job is to shed some light on them and, use my platform to help them shine. They wouldn't get that shine from, anywhere else coming, in a JUCO program. So I'm trying my best to give them that, that spotlight. So that's definitely the best thing. Worst thing in the past week, Brandon.
Worst thing in the past week. I mean, I'm not even a Ronaldo fan at all, but just to see that Ronaldo and his World Cup journey is now come to an end. Super emotional guy.
Yeah, bro.
Super. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about it later on throughout the weeks, of course, with the World Cup coming to a wrap midway through this month. But Morocco has just been on an absolute tear, beating out Spain. Then you go on to beat out Portugal. I mean, just to see all my favorite teams get knocked out by this one country on a crazy dark horse run that no one expected them to even come out the group stage. So good for them. But for me, worst thing to ever see this week, to see all these teams get knocked out, plus Ronaldo World Cup coming in tears. So
for me, that was a close one. Honestly, that was my number one. Well, I'll change it up.
Okay.
You guys know I'm a big Cristiano Ronaldo fan. That guy is a role model, inspiration to me. Everything he's done, a good portion of my life growing up as a Real Madrid fan, and he had so many memories that he's had with Real Madrid, and you get to enjoy that. Like, I'm sure, as all sports fans do, and I'm sure you too, Brandon, like, you have that one player that's just absolutely special to you, not only as an athlete, but like as a person and a role model. So that's definitely Cristiano for me. So that one hit the core for me. But I will say, worst thing, my favorite baseball player is traded from my favorite team, and that is Cody Bellinger, on his way to the Chicago Cubs, leaving the LA Dodgers. And that one got me. I wasn't expecting it, and I saw the notification come in. I was just broken. I was like, no, man, it's over.
Hey, I mean, the Dodger dynasty, I mean, it's a little shaky right now.
I think they're dismantling the whole team, to be honest with you.
Right. I don't know.
At this point, maybe it's not working, just got to change it up. But yeah, I'd have to say Cody Bellinger that one was a tough one for me. And and we're gonna stay on the topic of bad news. I start this topic off. I believe it was Friday night. We spoke on Friday night too over the phone.
Yeah.
I have some neighbors come over to my house. They're close family friends, and literally we're just all there. And like I get a text message from a colleague of mine, and she was like, "Grant Wall just died." And I read it at the moment, and then like my neighbors were leaving. I put my phone down, said bye to them, whatever, and I get back to my phone. I read the message again, and I go straight to Twitter, and I see everything. And I see the tweet message from U.S. Soccer Federation, the statement that they put out. And I went outside and I sat down outside because I was just in shock, more because that afternoon was the Argentina-Netherlands game, and just like half, majority of the world was watching it. I was watching it, and I follow Grant Wall on Twitter, and I saw his tweets during the game, literally tweeting during the game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, and then I start seeing all these conspiracy theories being thrown out left and right. And I'm like, no one knows what's going on. No one knows what the cause is. People are saying, oh, like he got killed and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, did this guy really, like, that's crazy. Like, this is going to be so bad. And then obviously I saw the news that Grant Wall, famous for our viewers, American soccer journalist, was covering the World Cup in Qatar, was at this game, Argentina-Netherlands, Friday. And while he's at the game, I believe they said it was in the second half of extra time, right before they head to the penalties. He collapsed. Apparently, paramedics got there in a hurry. They were trying to work on him for 10 minutes, administered CPR within those 10 minutes. And then ultimately they're like, oh, we need to take him. He was rushed in an ambulance to the hospital. And when he got to the hospital, he was pronounced dead. But to dissect this a little further, Brandon, on his own podcast last week, he had complained that he had gone to a clinic because he had this nasty cough. And he'd gone to the clinic, and the clinic said that he had bronchitis, and they had gave him some antibiotics. So he started taking those antibiotics, but he said he wasn't sleeping well. He just said that he felt overworked, with everything going on in the World Cup. Obviously he's been away from home now and from his family for about almost a month now.
Right.
You're in this different country, and people are saying maybe that took to an effect of what happened. And of course, the shocking statement was his brother the night of that he passed. His brother comes out and says that his brother was a healthy man and believes that he was killed. And that, of course, that sent everyone into a frenzy. If you guys don't know, Grant Wall's wife is the second in command to Dr. Fauci. She's an infectious disease expert for the United States government. They didn't have any kids, but she now is alone. But it's just terrible. I have no words to it, man. It's just, all I would say to finish off before you go ahead is that Grant, as a journalist, he was one of the pioneers for U.S. soccer. A lot of people got their information from Grant. A lot of people have worked with Grant. There has not been one bad story that I have seen about Grant Wall on the internet. I personally, and I won't name the name because just for privacy reasons, but I had a colleague that I worked with who personally had a podcast with Grant Wall. I reached out to him. I know he was having a tough time and he felt very devastated, and he's been kind of struggling during this moment to comprehend what's happening. But Grant Wall is a legend of American soccer. If you knew American soccer well, you knew Grant Wall. and he did everything he could to expand the game. Um, and that's basically it, man. His work will forever live on. And final thing, if you guys don't know, LeBron James, the Chosen One cover was written by Grant Wall. So not too many people knew about that, but definitely just a legend of the industry.
No, yeah. I mean, plus also because as you mentioned before, if it wasn't really for him, and again, there wasn't a lot of journalists back in the day in the United States covering soccer, but if it
Yeah.
wasn't for him, there wouldn't be this renowned new piece of journalism in the United States covering things such as Premier League, heavy into MLS. So
Yeah.
without Grant Wall, there would probably not even been this crazy phase or fad or whatever you want to call it of just Americans, at least keeping track of what's going on across the pond in all these other different leagues. But and again, Grant, it's really hard to question about his cause of death,
Yeah.
because obviously when he first came into this World Cup during the group stage coverage, he ended up getting kicked out from one of the venues due to wearing a pride shirt, I believe.
Yep.
And, from there on, this also challenged the idea that was Qatar really listening to what FIFA at first was saying, respect the values of those of Westerners. And obviously that answered everything that we needed to know.
Yep.
So who knows exactly if it is foul play? Who knows exactly if it was bronchitis or some sort of other illness that really did cause his death? But either way, until we really do get it, like a definite answer, I don't really think we should be focusing on that instead of celebrating the life
Yep.
of Grant
I agree.
from being, of course, the pioneer that he was, and obviously, as I mentioned before, had a wife. So in reality, even though we can put whatever we want on the wall about his cause of death, the one thing stands still is that he is a soccer and most likely a sports reporting legend.
Yeah.
And I'll probably leave it at that.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you said. 100%. And it must be tough. His brother Eric Wall,
Right.
has been giving like just everyone so many updates on Twitter, and it must be so hard. And I saw a tweet today, earlier today, that someone said, "Hey man, like, how are you doing this right now?" Like, and he's like, honestly, like, I'm just so hurt and in mourning that like by tweeting it lets me like just
Just cope with it.
yeah, a release,
Yeah.
And the update that we have as of this evening, to my knowledge, is that his body has arrived in the United States. It was flown from Doha to New York City via American Airlines. His family, his wife and his brother and family were at the airport in New York to await the body, and it will go for an autopsy now, which will show the cause of death. And then, of course, I'm sure that they will have their ceremonies and funerals and stuff like that. But I want to end that topic with just prayers to anybody who knew Grant, worked with Grant, friends of Grant, family, his wife. We're definitely thinking and praying for them at this moment. It's a difficult thing. We're going to stay with the topic of soccer. We're going to talk about FIFA, and I got a lot to say about this one. I'm charged up about this one. I came ready tonight, Brandon.
All right.
FIFA has charged Argentina for their misconduct behavior against the Netherlands in their quarterfinal matchup. Here's my thing. Argentina, their fans tend to be a little obnoxious. And the Dutch are more, having experimented with the cultures, the Dutch are more laid back, reserved to themselves type of people. And these people were saying that this game was feisty. I would say, yes, it was feisty, but it wasn't feisty until the Argentinians made it feisty. They were very confident in their 2-0 lead, overly confident in their 2-0 lead. The Dutch come back and tie it 2-2. This got the Argentinians all emotional. They lost their cool. They were committing very silly fouls. The second goal at the last minute that tied the game and sent it to extra time was a silly foul. If you just put the pressure on the Dutch player, time runs over and you win. But they wanted to play hardball. They wanted to play rough. They committed silly fouls. Argentina together with 17 yellow cards, which is unheard of. I think that's history in the World Cup right there.
Yep.
They were playing dirty once it was getting close. What really set it off is when I forgot who specifically it was, absolutely beamed the ball at the Dutch bench, and then he absolutely got leveled by Virgil van Dijk.
Mm-hmm.
That's where things got dirty. They made it dirty. I think that they really made the game feisty because the Dutch weren't making it feisty. With the way that they were playing, they got upset because of how Argentina was playing. And then, of course, after the game, when Argentina hits that last penalty, mind you, which I have to say, they blew a 2-0 lead in the game, and then they almost blew a 2-0 lead in the penalty shootout. It's a very famous picture now, but them mocking the Netherlands in their faces as the penalty shootout is over. Look, man, there's a way to win. There's a way to lose. I think the perfect example is when Croatia beat Brazil in penalties. Some of the Croatians, like Luka Modric, were shaking the hands of the Brazilians, comforting them. Obviously, they had their celebrations, but they congratulated their opponent in defeat for the hard-fought battle that they just had for 120 minutes and a penalty shootout. The Argentinians just rubbed in his face. Messi, of course, got in front of Louis van Gaal, which I'm not saying that he knew this, but a 70-year-old coach who has cancer mocks him, and then, of course, goes back to do a press conference interview and is mocking someone else in the middle of an interview. That left a lot of people, including myself, with a very distasteful light for Argentina. And a lot of people are very, very hoping that Croatia knocks them out tomorrow and sends them home. Because the way that they just behaved it's not right. It's not good sportsmanship. That's just my take, my opinion on it.
I mean, honestly, I understand going from that side. Obviously, good sportsmanship is a huge part of any game.
Yeah.
But to see this on the world's biggest stage, right? To see Messi, most likely his last World Cup, to see Argentina going against an oversized Netherlands team and the Dutch who play physical as it is, it was great to see. And I mean it. It was great to see this type of competitiveness and that cockiness from Argentina to go out there in front of these players after the penalties and rip at them. I loved every second of it. The whole ear thing with Messi, that's a photo that I think will live in the Vogue for the rest of lives for all football fans. I love the energy. It was an absolute incredible game to watch. It was an incredible energy and storyline to watch besides the play on the field. And honestly, out of everything that we've seen from Argentina, going now against Croatia, the fact that Messi wasn't shook, the fact that this Argentina team wasn't shook by a Netherlands squad, as tough and as great as they are, Van Dijk is a phenomenal player. Dumfries had one of the best performances I've seen him have in a long time, this time now playing on the biggest stage for the Netherlands. To see Argentina do all that and the pressure of the game just keeps on going up like a volcano about to erupt. I mean, honestly, if I was an Argentinian player on that same pitch after the whole brawl, after the whole, process of that game getting closer and closer, and then, of course, that additional minutes seeing that last-minute goal by the Netherlands now going to penalties, I would have been insane. I mean, trust me, this was like a lot of great moments that I think that this game will be at least a top 3 game from this World Cup, I think. It has to be a top 3 game of this World Cup. And
For
honestly, again, as you mentioned before, horrible sportsmanship, I have to say, but definitely a memorable game that I think will live on for Messi's career. If he does win this World Cup, this will be a point in time where we can say that, oh, Argentina just ended up saying we don't care who we go against on the other side. And this just might be it because they did not care about the Netherlands at all. The fact that they even gave up that 2-0 lead, the fact that they still felt confidence, a little bit of cocky, even piercing the ball at the bench of the Dutch, I got to tell you, that's a death note right there.
It
To be
is.
pissing off some Dutch people because they're nice people over there.
Yeah.
But again, this game, I think, one of the best in the FIFA World Cup this year. And probably if Messi does end up winning this World Cup, might be just a memorable game that you had to put in a documentary series about him.
I just think I have 2 things. 3 things actually.
Okay.
1, I just felt like it was distasteful. It was disgusting in their behavior. 2, I don't think Messi's a leader. And 3, if this was Cristiano Ronaldo, we would have never heard the end of it. If Ronaldo would have done this, would not have heard the end of it. I think the media would have ripped him. The media would have wrote, "Look at Ronaldo, how arrogant he is. Look how cocky he is for doing this. He's not a leader. This is not the leader Portugal needs. He only cares about himself. He doesn't deserve to win the World Cup. The Portuguese probably hate having him as a teammate." So I think if Ronaldo would have behaved this way, I think they would have ripped him, man.
That may be true. I mean, again, this is also happening with Messi. People are, ripping Messi as we speak. And of course, for obvious reasons, for afterwards, it was very childlike to go over to, I don't even know what Dutch player it was, but I'll call him like, what, stupid or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, honestly, you can rip whatever you want. But at the end of the day, just to see the team like that not really care at all in the tensions of that high intense game. I mean, again, we're all sports fans here, We loved exactly to see high tension battles in the heat of the moment. Like when Kevin Durant ended up leaving OKC and went against Russell Westbrook and the Thunder for the first time in that heated battle.
Yeah.
When we have to go see like the headlines of Ben Simmons coming back to Philadelphia. We love that stuff. We love that stuff. I mean, and I got the same exact feeling. This is like the first ever matchup in the World Cup where I felt like, man, these guys are starting. I mean, I didn't know there was history, but they're starting to hate each other. And
You know what we need, Brandon?
What, man?
Another 120 minutes of Argentina and Netherlands. Hey, just let them go at it, bro. Let them go at it.
Let the fight pursue. Let the fight pursue.
Honestly, yeah. I put that game, this World Cup, I put that game up there, and I definitely will put up the England and France match. Yes. Definitely putting up that dude. It was back and forth. I felt so heartbroken for Harry Kane, but at the same time,
I'm like, how does he miss that though?
Can you imagine? I started thinking about it, Brandon. Can you imagine the immense of pressure that is on that guy as he's stepping up to the penalty spot?
Oh yeah.
Down 2-1, you can save your country for at least another 30 minutes and go to a penalty shootout. Like, honestly, I don't even know if I'd be able to take that type of pressure, to be honest with you.
No, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, bless them for even taking the opportunity. But man, I mean, because that was like, again, these are heavy hitters, like England and France, heavy favorites this year.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was really rooting for England because I hate the idea of Croatia and France going to the final for the second time in a row.
Yeah.
I just hate the idea of like back-to-backs like that. But man, France this year, I mean, Mbappe looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, that entire roster. I don't even need. I mean, Griezmann, if you want to say a name, but like besides that, I mean, Benzema's not part of this squad. Conte's not part of the squad.
It's just scary.
It's a horrifying fact to know this isn't even the best French team on the planet right now, unless they have like healthy guys. So, I mean, honestly, I think France would probably win the whole thing. But if anyone was going to beat them, it was probably going to be England, and they weren't able to get it done. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's just scary. That team is scary. Like I said from the beginning, they're so stacked in every single position. I can't see them falling, man. I can't. Like, when they started playing in the England game, I just looked at my dad and I'm like, They're so good, man. They're so good. Like you look at them play and you're like, they're so good. Like I can't
It was
imagine.
ridiculous. I mean,
It's
freaking Walker was doing his best against Mbappe, but Mbappe wasn't even the issue that time. It was man, I forgot how to pronounce his name.
Giroud.
Giroud. There we go. Giroud, who wasn't even supposed to be in this World Cup.
No.
He's not the leading scorer, I believe, for France.
Yep. It was supposed to be Benzema.
And it's like, dude, I mean, are you kidding me? You know, it's ridiculous. Hopefully, the United States gets that level in 4 years.
For sure.
Kind of doubt it, but then again,
that's what we're hoping for.
Fingers crossed.
We're gonna get to another situation here that has me. I don't even know what to say anymore. Has me rattled. The Miami Marlins headed into the winter meetings with the same team they had. They also exited the winter meetings with the same team they had.
Yeah.
And their general manager, and this has pissed off the fan base, a fan base that's already impatient. The general manager has the audacity to say, when you had guys like Josh Bell, Cody Bellinger, you had these type of guys. Carlos Correa is still out there. Everyone, Jonka just joins. You had Jonka. We just got into the Marlins topic. This is gonna be great.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. My grandma's playing some reggaeton, whatever it is.
So Brandon,
all right, let's go.
Brandon, you've got
what is
it available. You got Trey Turner available. Josh Bell, Carlos Correa. The Marlins certainly have the money to get those guys. They definitely have the money to splash big in the market. Instead, Noah Syndergaard leaves the New York Mets, and you're like, oh, yes, he's leaving. They replace him with Justin Verlander. Then the Phillies get Trey Turner. You lose Bellinger, he goes to the Cubs. It's still the National League.
Right.
And then the general manager has the audacity in an interview after the winter meetings to say, yeah, well, we evaluated the market and we learned a lot. And like, we want to make sure that we make the right moves. And it's going to take some patience. And I think we gained a lot of information from the winter meetings. That's what we got a lot of good information. We don't need to know good information. We need some moves.
We need some all-stars, man.
I guarantee you, and I'm saying this, and I talked about this with Brock on Saturday. There will never be another World Series in this city in my lifetime.
How about we calm down for a second?
In my lifetime, Brandon. In my lifetime.
I would go to the grave without a Marlins World Series again in my lifetime. The last time they went to the World Series, I was basically like 2 years old. All right. I wasn't even old enough to even understand a TV remote. I want to at least see the team get a World Series.
Brandon, I'm taking it from you. This is a guarantee. You and I can hold hands into our graves, and we will never see another Miami Marlins World Series championship as long as they keep running the team as bad as they are. The fans are not going to show up. This fan base is dead. It's gone. People are sick and tired of this team always being in a damn rebuilding phase. Every year, we're rebuilding. Let's just sell everybody and buy a bunch of minor league contracts from everybody. And you know what? They didn't do anything. The rest of the National League East, their division is getting so much better, and the Marlins didn't do crap, and now there's no way to close the gap. The only thing their general manager said was the team that you have now is not the team that you're going to see on opening day. I want to know, and I want to see from here to opening day, what moves is she going to make that is going – you got Skip Schumacher as a new manager now, which is – I like the guy. I admit I like the guy.
Right.
But you got to give him something to work with. It was the same thing with Don Mattingly. You got to give him something to work with.
Let him cook at least.
From here to opening day, what rabbit she pulls out of the magician's hat?
I have no idea. If you ask me personally, though, because again, I told a lot of people this just out of like humor, but like some reason, every single team out of our division has made the World Series like in recent years. The Marlins should be up next, but I mean, the offseason tells me otherwise. The offseason tells me otherwise. And also, I do have a Marlins insider, a guy who is a Marlin fanatic. I'm not going to say his name just for like security purposes, just in case he doesn't want to be on the podcast, whatnot. But anyway, from what I understand from him, because he keeps track of everything from free agency, there are teams that are spending more on their players than what the Miami Marlins are actually worth as a franchise. Miami Marlins, believe it or not, are not worth $1 billion. However, $990 million. And I'm pretty sure Jonka knows a team that's spending at least more than $1 billion on 3 players. So to see that the Miami Marlins have not only dropped in profits, let alone a price tag for themselves, because they're not able to attract high free agents, and of course, unable to even bring the talent onto the field in a place where it's a hotbed for baseball. So I don't even need to know her name. I haven't seen the Marlins or really cared about the Marlins since Yelich left the team, right? I mean, that was the last time as a Marlin fan I was like, I'm confident that I'm going to go to the ballpark and see us win a game. Like, unless it's like a Friday, I'm there on Sandy's Beach and watching the Cy Young like do some magic. I'm not going to a Marlin game. What am I going to a Marlin game for? Garrett Cooper? I mean, for what? Miguel? Like, I'm not going to a Marlin game unless it's a Friday night to see Miguel, the Cy Young guy. All right, to see Sandy on Trump. Like, that's the only reason I'm going to be out there. So again, as you mentioned before, Danny, I don't know if we're going to see a World Series. Again, you're talking to a Dolphin fan that truly does believe we'll get a Super Bowl in a few years. But this is just it got to get to the point, though. They got to get to the point. You blow it up or you go all out. That's the only thing that works in Miami. I mean, unless you're Pat Riley, apparently. But you blow it up or you go all out.
Listen to me. I guarantee you then Arbetter's hot dog is worth more than the Marlins franchise at this point.
That sounds good right now.
As sad as it is, I'm sure it's more than the Marlins franchise it is right now.
I don't know. I'm just excited for the MLS season then.
Jonka, you want to give your thoughts on these Marlins and that they did absolutely nothing in the winter meetings?
Listen, I think people that know me, I think they already know what I would rip this team apart. I think this team should be scrapped, sold, and removed from Miami history. Because this team is pathetic. They took our taxpayer dollars to put this monstrosity in the middle of Little Havana to lose money every single year. So lose games. I don't know what else they lose. You can bring in the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and that still wouldn't bring in revenue to the Marlins, to Miami Marlins. From the moment they made it the change the name from Florida Marlins to Miami Marlins, you have to say the Miami curse was turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they have good players, they sell them. The one time they have a good player in Giancarlo Stanton, that's it. They overpaid him with over $300 million or whatever for 13 years. That's it. They gave him to the Yankees, which I welcome him. Thank you, Giancarlo Stanton. 2 Giancarlo guys, if you don't know my real name.
Oh my gosh.
His name is Mike, and he changed it to Giancarlo. Relax.
Yeah. But it's legally now Giancarlo. And then then they got rid of they got the trade for Giancarlo Stanton, and then they got rid of Yelich. Both guys turned into MVPs the very next year.
Ozuna, Marcelo Ozuna.
Bro, everybody.
Even D Gordon they got rid of.
Bro, listen. I think they should just get rid of the team, sell it, give the stadium to something else.
Give it
to UM.
Vegas.
Give it to UM. Let them use that as the Orange Bowl now, so they don't have to make a new stadium.
Tropical Park.
I can get behind that. Idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If we can bring the Marlins back to Hard Rock, because again, if they have the Miami Open and Hard Rock Stadium, they can have a baseball field at Hard Rock Stadium. Like if we bring back like the baseball stadium to the old Joe Robbie to the Hard Rock Stadium and put the Orange Bowl for the Canes there, I think the curse will flip. I think we call it back to Florida Marlins. I think the Miami curse will be gone, and we actually see the Marlins back in teal winning games. That's what I'm saying.
What I don't understand is why did they change it to Miami Marlins? Yes, because the team was basically in Miami, but they'll just keep it as Florida. Keep it as Florida.
Can I tell you guys, both of you sound so delusional at the moment.
No, because
Nah,
it's
man.
a real thing, man. It's a real thing. The Miami curse, it's a real thing. But let me tell you, though, the one thing I would disagree with Jonka on that argument is that you cannot race the Marlins for a Miami history because those are the best baseball jerseys we'll ever have. Those Florida Marlins.
I like those jerseys.
Pinstripe. Those are the best jerseys we'll ever have in South Florida. They really do go like, and again, because
The black and the teal.
I'm a huge supporter on like the Dolphins old like 80 jerseys, but the Marlins really do compete well with them. So we just can't scrap the team. We have to at least survive somehow. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to survive through a World Series, let alone a playoff series.
Fine. We'll put a statue in front of the stadium. It's like in memory of the worst team in Miami history.
But the cleanest jerseys on the grass.
But they were clean though.
Hey,
They were clean.
hey, Hurricane football gives them a run for their money right now.
I'm telling you.
That should be the real argument right now. What's worse, Marlins baseball or Hurricane football?
I feel like the commissioners of the city of Miami should go to the office of Miami Marlins and tell them, if you don't fix your BS in the next couple of years, we're giving this stadium to Miami. We're giving this stadium to the University of Miami, and you will not have a stadium for this team.
Exactly.
You wasted taxpayer dollars. I'm paying for that stupidity in Little Havana, where there's no parking whatsoever. I gotta park in a random dude's parking lot.
You could park no one goes to those games. You could park in the parking garage.
But $16 to park in the parking garage is more than the actual tickets. That's more than the actual tickets.
Bro, you can legit go in the 5th inning, and people are legit handing out free tickets.
Mm-hmm. I literally sat behind home plate one time. I got tickets in like the second level or whatever, where basically no one's sitting. Like, that's how weird it's gone. It's gone to a point where, like, oh, you want to be on TV where no one else is? Sure, no problem. Go right ahead behind home plate.
I remember that there was 1 year where Subway was giving out free tickets for every sub you buy.
It's so bad.
Well, it's like Inter Miami. That before the deal with Papa John's is if they won, you'd get the 25% off or the 50% off, whatever it is. Yep. It was so bad that they had to reduce it. Say, oh, now even if we tie, you get the Papa John's deal. Like, as people were desperate to use that deal, Papa John's was like, hey, what are we getting on? What are we getting here? Because you guys are not winning games, so your fans are not getting any pizza.
Oh yeah, hey man, a point's a point though. A point's a point. We'll take the draws.
Let's switch gears to football now. This is gonna be great. Caleb Williams, quarterback of USC, wins the Heisman. And let me tell you, his speech was one of my favorite things. This man really went up there and said, you know, I'm glad I won the Heisman, but my opposing candidates have something that I don't have. They're in the college football playoff, and I'm not. Honestly, yeah, USC had a good year, but that one loss really in the conference championship, devastating. And they were so close. But yeah, that one loss, they deserve to get out the top 4.
Yeah, and I mean, and also because I mentioned before, going down the road this entire year for college football, that the Trojans were gonna make the college playoffs. I wanted to see Caleb Williams out there going against the Georgia defense. I wanted to see him go against Michigan. The fact that the 2 losses that Southern Cal has gotten so far this entire year have been straight from the Utah Utes. Phenomenal team, but they win the Pac-12 out of nowhere. And technically, the Gators win the Pac-12 because they beat them week 1. Either way, going to the topic, Caleb Williams, the best quarterback in college football today, and he doesn't even get the shot at the playoffs because of the whole Pac-12. I mean, TCU lost their game, and again, they lost in a close margin in overtime. against Kansas State. But do you really want to say that, man, Southern Cal, they got, handed to against Utah. I don't think they deserve to be there in the college playoffs, let alone close. Like, they weren't even ranked, like, top 6 in, like, the last top 25 AP poll. You know what I mean? Like, they dropped that much. So, to see Caleb Williams, deserving as it is, win the Heisman Trophy, but I think as the team itself, the Trojans, I think you got to give them more credit. You got to give them more credit than the way they ended off this season, just because they lost in the Pac-12.
Jonka?
This is a news flash for me. I didn't know Caleb Williams won the Heisman. I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest.
How do you earn sports and don't know he won the Heisman?
Oh my gosh!
I probably just skipped over it. I don't really care for it.
This is Brandon. You know what this is? Someone didn't read the rundown. Did I send the night before? Someone did not read it.
Hey, you gotta wing it.
Oh my gosh, I'll take it. Hey, but let me tell you though, when UM season's done, football season done.
Yeah.
So you mean on week 1?
Oh my god.
That's pretty much when it's done in week 1.
So does FIU?
First of all, I think we finished almost at the same exact record, and we went parallel throughout the entire season, matching each other's records. Also, you want to talk to me about being a delusional Cowboys fan? Your college football is a delusional fan base. You guys are almost exactly the same thing.
I've made the comparisons every time we do this.
Unbelievable. But yeah, he definitely deserved the Heisman. I still expect big things from USC from coming into next season and the future of USC. I think this year was more of like, we're going to see what they can do. I think next year they fully come in, and I could see them in that top 4 for a good moment, a good portion, if not the entire year. It'll be interesting to see the preseason heading into the regular season, that preseason ranking poll, to see where they put USC. It'll be very interesting where see the college, playoff committee or just the committee in general, where they put USC to start the season.
This is a guy that we talk about, Williams. Well, I'm looking at the stats right now. I mean, tied first with 37 touchdowns overall in this season, and only has 4 interceptions throughout this entire year. And against a competitive Pac-12 with the secondaries, you can mention a bunch of names, but in reality, I mean, that's a hungry intercepting cast over there. And over 4,000 yards passing. The only game they have left really is just their bowl game, the Cotton Bowl against Tulane.
Yeah, and they're going to kill them.
They're going to kill them. They're going to absolutely kill them. I think that this bowl game itself, and, again, from all the bowl games out there, excited for the college playoffs. Cannot wait for that one. Of course, I'm more excited about the one about 10 miles away from me, the Orange Bowl. It'll be basically the, I lost the South Carolina bowl game in Clemson as well as in Tennessee. But, I mean, the way that Southern Cal and Caleb Williams end off this year, Heisman Trophy, great for him. But for the team to, just come short of the playoffs to go against Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, it just puts a bitter taste in my mouth. It really does.
What bowl game are you most excited about? This is the one you just mentioned?
Yep, the Orange Bowl, of course. I'm a huge Orange Bowl guy. I worked one, been to one as a fan, and then hopefully I can find tickets for this one, but they're like $200. And I don't know if I want to see, Clemson lose in front of Tennessee. But then again, Tennessee did look pretty interesting this year, so it's gonna be a lot of orange in the Orange Bowl.
I've got some interesting ones. I'm really intrigued by UCF against Duke. That's a matchup that intrigues me. I'm really interested in Oklahoma and Florida State. That intrigues me. Notre Dame, South Carolina intrigues me.
Right.
I think that will be interesting to see. Obviously, Tennessee and Clemson, like you just mentioned, I think that really interests me. And then, of course, we get our playoff games. The one Jonka brought up to me one day, I was like, it is true. LSU Purdue, with the way Purdue played in the conference title game.
I mean, they're decent. However, there's also one game that if you're like an absolute sicko for like college football, the Jayhawks playing in a bowl game against Arkansas.
Yeah.
The Razorback. Now that one right there, if you're a sicko and you would like to see basketball schools be predominantly SEC football schools, I think that'll be a game to be fun to watch. I'm not saying that'll be an upset on the 28th of this month, but there might be some fireworks on the 28th of this month. So trust me, huge fan of the Orange Bowl game coming up, but I just might stick around for that Kansas versus Arkansas.
We've arrived, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite time of the night. It's NFL football time, and it means it's our power rankings time.
Mm-hmm.
I will go first. At 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to see if Jonka agrees with me. Jonka agreed with my list last week, my power rankings last week. I want to see if he agrees with me this time.
See.
At 2, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
At 3, I moved the team down. At 3, I have the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
At 4, I moved them from 3 to 4. The Dallas Cowboys at 4. I moved them down a spot.
Mm-hmm.
And at 5, I have replaced Minnesota. And I have put San Francisco at 5. That's my top 5 power rankings for this week.
That's a good one right there.
Whoever wants to go next, you can go ahead.
I got nothing to say for that one. I think it's fine. I can't argue with that one.
I'm pretty good. I'm knowing how to pick them week by week. I've genuinely improved from the beginning. Brandon, what's your top 5?
All right, so top 5, obviously, I'm just going to get number 1 as well as number 2 out of the way. Philadelphia Eagles, I think they skyrocketed over Buffalo. I just thought that seeing the Bills play in that game against the Jets, it's not like they're dominating teams anymore. Still getting the wins out of them. They're not dominating teams and what we expect them. So I have the Eagles on top of them now. Chiefs also slide on number 2. The Bills, I put them at number 3. I just think the AFC is just a really powerhouse team. Again, we talk about Miami. They ended up losing against the Chargers in a close one due to Tua and his, I don't even know what it was, a lack of ability to even throw a ball accurately. But either way, that majority of the AFC is all winning records, really, unless you want to go out to the AFC West. My 4 and 5 spots, what I would have to say, I think the Vikings do drop out of it. However, I think out of number 4, I think I'll probably put the 49ers there. And then at number 5, I put the Cowboys there. Only just because if you're a 49ers team and you're winning with Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, I know Tampa Bay is having a rough year. I know that entire NFC South division is having a rough year. But my goodness, are you got to be kidding me? I pray that Deebo Samuel is healthy for the next couple of weeks because I know he got taken out of that game.
Well, I have an update on that.
Well, we'll go to the update, but I just have to say this. The 49ers, top of that division, and everyone thought that division was going to skyrocket from this year. So, honestly, I think they definitely improved themselves. And with the NFC, how it looks like right now, I mean, they just might be a great playoff team to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think me and Jonka, and you probably agree with me and Jonka too, we've said it that I feel like San Francisco is the dark horse. That's my dark horse team.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a doubt about it because I know there was a lot of – I mean, the moment that Jimmy Garoppolo – and I'm a huge Jimmy G guy. But the moment that Garoppolo ended up getting hurt, a lot of people were saying, does Baker Mayfield come into the picture? Do they go out there and find somebody? The fact that the confidence of Kyle Shanahan to keep on going with Purdy, that is something special, though. That is something I think that a roster like San Fran that has that sort of like Super Bowl mentality where like they've been to the NFC Championship in the past like 2 times in the last 4 or so years. I mean, this is a caliber of team that knows how to win. So, I mean, that's something I think that's really horrifying to think about if you're an NFC team going deep in the playoffs.
So here's my thing. It looks like, and I'm going to assume, when we look at the playoff picture right now, the way it looks right now, in the NFC for the 49ers, they would be playing the Washington Commanders in the first round, which I think they win. I think Minnesota beats the Giants.
That we
You agree with me, Brandon? Minnesota beats the Giants?
I mean, because the thing is, though, Minnesota is looking a little shaky.
They are.
However, the Giants are like on the. I mean, I'm telling you right now how weak the NFC is. The Lions are still alive in Detroit.
Yeah.
So if the Giants even make it through, they're making it by like a sliver. So I think the Vikings should be able to win that one in Minnesota too.
I gotta see what if Odell does go.
He won't be ready. He won't be ready.
I know. Odell, like past
even
week 10.
Even if he won't be ready, I think they just need a little bit of a receiver boost. Then just that's all they need. Somebody that can catch the ball because they got rid of Shepard. They lost Kadarius Toney. They have nowhere to catch the ball, so that's what they need.
This is the one I've been wanting to ask you all day, Brandon. That's been on my mind all day.
Okay.
That I wanted to get your opinion on. This means that Minnesota would face San Francisco in the second round. Who would you have winning in that matchup?
San Francisco.
I guess it depends of what time Kirk Cousins plays during the day. Is it 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock? But no, I mean, because I think that the Vikings defense has obviously been growing as the season goes. I think Peterson's obviously still at that high level that he usually is known to play at. And then, of course, Dalvin Cook, you always have to look at him. And Jefferson has been putting up like Madden numbers every single time he hits a field. So if he asks me if they go, and again, this game from the records of it looks like as of now, they'll have to go to Minnesota.
Yep.
So is Brock Purdy a playoff quarterback? That's the question I want to know. Because I seen Jimmy Garoppolo and San Fran last year going to Green Bay and win a game there. I seen them go against the Dallas Cowboys, almost, win a game there as well. I mean, I'll have to see to believe it, but that's a toss-up game. I'm going to go to Minnesota in a close one if they do come to that matchup, just because I can never count out a Kyle Shanahan 49ers team. I can never count that out.
The update on Deebo Samuel is that he will definitely not play on the quick turnaround on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like he'll be ready for the first round of the playoffs.
Which is huge.
Yeah. So he's not out indefinitely. He's not out for the rest of the year. So that's good news for San Francisco. Do you think Dallas can get by Tampa in the first round?
Oh, guarantee. If Dallas loses, and I don't even care if it's Tampa and Tom Brady, if they lose against a team in that division, they should not even be considered a team for next year. Like, that is a game in Tampa Bay, I understand, but a game that you should win if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
And especially that the Tampa's O-line, they lost Tristan Wirfs.
Yep.
They don't have Ryan Jensen at center. And the majority of the O-line are not even backups. They're the third backup. They're the backup to the backup to the backup. So their O-line is so bad. Why do you think the Bucs offense can't run anything? They can't run the ball. Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White can't run the ball. And then whenever Tom Brady tries to throw it, he's got no time. He's like, nobody can get open.
Exactly. Not even that. All these balls are getting tipped up, and let alone, I mean, again, he's 46 years old. I mean, he's not putting any power on those balls anymore. And they got great receivers.
I told Jonka today.
Was it today or yesterday?
I think it was today. Or maybe it was last night. I don't know.
I think it was after. I think it was after the game last night.
Yeah, I told Jonka there needs to be some sort of like improvement to the standing or something, because there's no way that the Buccaneers have a better seeding than they're 6-7, and they have a better seeding than the 10-3 Cowboys.
It's all about
the
division play, man. It's all about the divisions in the NFL.
Yeah, because their division is garbage. That's why.
Well, that's why you want to take that division. You got to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, Christmas Eve. So that leads into my next one.
Your ass. I'm gonna watch that game.
That leads me to the next one. Second round of the playoffs. That would lead Dallas against Philadelphia in the second round of the playoffs.
At Philly.
If
they hold off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Philadelphia. I mean, again, they've already clinched the postseason. Like, I think that Philadelphia, if they end up losing out a chance to win a Super Bowl or even get to the Super Bowl, It just wouldn't make a lot of sense in my mind. I wouldn't wrap them around my head. And I get that, like, Goddard's on injury reserve. I understand that. But I just wouldn't be able to wrap around my head that Jalen Hurts, as well as A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and the big D-line that they got is not able to push this team into at least a Super Bowl. I'd be really shocked. I think they end up winning it in Lincoln Field. I think they end up winning it in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I respect it. The next 4 games for the Eagles are the Bears, at Chicago, at Cowboys, and then the last 2 games are at home against the Saints and the Giants. So the last 3 games are really defensive-heavy teams. So
what Dallas needs from their perspective is obviously a win against Philadelphia on Christmas Eve at home, and they need Philadelphia to drop one of those games outside of the Dallas game.
Tough. That's going to be tough.
And I think the only team that can do it or has a chance to do it is the Giants, which they just got blown out by. But honestly, that's the only team that gives them a decent fight.
Yeah.
And Dallas.
Dallas' schedule is pretty impressive, though, because you play in Jacksonville coming up, right?
We saw what they did to Tennessee.
Yeah, and plus also the Baltimore Ravens. So Jacksonville, don't sleep on the Jags. That's a crazy division as well over there with Tennessee, which you do play later on as well. Actually, prime time
this week.
TV. Yeah. So, again, you play against Jacksonville on the 18th. The 24th, we talked about it already. That Philadelphia game is going to be a bloodbath, I think, over there in Arlington. And then, of course, to end off the season on a road, Tennessee, followed by the Commanders. It should be an easy schedule, but it all depends how your road record looks like.
Those division games.
Yeah, but also because, again, I'm looking at specifically the road record. The last time you guys won on the road was against Minnesota in a dominating 40-3 performance, right? The last loss on the road was a week prior to that against Green Bay. Overtime lost by 3. So, again, your road record, from what it shows here, a majority of your losses, and again, small margin, have been on the road. So to end off the season like that against weaker competition, and one of those games being primetime, you have to ask yourself, if Dallas does not end up winning that Eagles game on New York, does that mean that you're looking at a shaky team going off to end off the year? And does that affect you, obviously, not only getting the division, but as well dropping, let alone in divisional rounds, to possibly go against the Vikings and to start off, or possibly go against maybe San Fran to start off, which would be a huge rivalry game in itself.
Yeah. I think the way I look at it right now is it's either on a collision course with Tampa, or it's going to be Carolina who's going to dethrone Tampa, who's getting closer by the minute.
Oh, yeah.
It would be either one of those two.
Tampa plays the Bengals at home. I think that's a loss. Then they play the Cardinals.
I'm going to say right now, I told Jonka today, bro, there is a way that Cincinnati can get back to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, if Joey B can get me back to that Super Bowl, my Joey B cards are going to go up in value again.
This man's looking for... Bro, you're talking about rookie card Joey B, Joe Shiesty Joey B,
NFL debut Prisms, baby.
Oh my gosh!
I feel like looking at their record and the way they're heating up, I feel like
the
Bengals go back to the Super Bowl, man.
It's a possibility. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a possibility.
But I'm gonna go with my Super Bowl pick right here. Super Bowl picks to play in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I have to. You guys know I have to. But I'm going to say Cowboys, Chiefs in Arizona for the Super Bowl.
Cowboys, Chiefs.
I won't say who wins. That'll be a good game, but
I don't see it. Could maybe Chiefs, but I think Joey B has the number on the Chiefs. So I would, if it's not gonna be the Chiefs, I'd say the Bengals.
Yeah, man. I feel like Cincinnati's heating up.
My boy Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, bro. What's the other one? Hayden Hurst, bro. They're loaded, my guy. Sam Hubbard on defense? Jesus Christ.
Bro, I know I'm a Dolphin fan, but we cannot be disrespecting Josh Allen like this. We cannot be disrespecting Josh Allen like this.
Look, screw the Dolphins at this point. Because they're on the verge. If they keep losing these games.
We just have a hard ending of the season. We're still gonna make the
Hold
playoffs.
up, wait a
I don't
minute.
want to hear that excuse anymore. If you guys say Tua is the guy, show me that Tua is the guy.
I never said that. I
Man
just said he looked
stuff.
impressive. I just said he looked impressive. I never said he was
Against
the
bad
guy.
teams, though.
Look, I'm just gonna leave it at this. All right, I'm gonna just leave it at Josh Allen is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and playing in the AFC, you need to beat out the Bills and the Chiefs. Those are the top two dogs in the AFC, and you could probably even argue the entire NFL. All right, the Eagles, in my opinion, are a guarantee of a Super Bowl to make it through the NFC. In my honest opinion, I just can't imagine the team not making it to the Super Bowl.
Okay,
in the AFC, and again, I understand Joe Burrow has a phenomenal team, but defensively, will that Cincinnati team hold up against Kansas City? Will they hold up against Buffalo? And again, at the end of this year, will they hold up against Buffalo and Kansas City on the road in Arrowhead in the cold weather of Buffalo? That's the only thing I have a question about. And again, we've seen Cincinnati and Joe Shiesty do it before last time out against Kansas City, but I don't think it's going to be the same thing this year. I think that, honestly, my honest opinion, I think that as a fan of the NFL, I love to see Buffalo in a Super Bowl for the first time in God knows how long, in the 90s. I want to see Buffalo against the Eagles. I think that's the Super Bowl that I think the fans deserve. The ones that I deserve, I want to see the Dolphins in it. But then again, the fans, I think Buffalo makes it.
Oh, let's talk about the Jonka. Let's talk about the Fins. Let's talk about the Fins. Let's talk about those Dolphins.
Yeah, the Fins. You know, they're not no dogs.
Listen to me.
Fins. That's all they are.
The
Fins.
winning streak that they went on, that Tua, everyone was like Tua MVP, Tua this, Tua is the best quarterback in the league. You guys beat the Steelers.
Nearly.
Beat the Lions. Beat the Bears. Beat the Browns. Beat the Texans. Subpar teams. I would say the best one out of there, the Lions. But then, let's go back before that. They were on a 3-game losing streak to the Bengals, the Jets, and the Vikings. Good teams. Now, they're on a 2-game losing streak against the 49ers and the Chargers. Good teams. This team has struggled against teams that are above 500. And if they keep going this way, which on their schedule, they have Buffalo and Orchard Park with snow in the forecast. Green Bay Packers, which is you can never count Aaron Rodgers out. The Patriots, which they can beat, but division games are always hard. And then the Jets, who's already beaten Miami once this year. It's a hard schedule, and you guys are a real threat. You real threat, baby, of missing the playoffs all entirely.
I don't know about that.
I'll say this right now. If the Dolphins lose that last game to the Jets, the Dolphins should just legit go on public television and said, even though we are eligible to be in the playoffs, we're not going to participate.
You know why?
The Jets twice.
You know why? Those Jets are breathing down your neck. They're breathing down the Dolphins' neck for that playoff spot.
Look, I'm going to just say this, all right? The Jets game, we had Teddy Bridgewater. The Cincinnati game, I think we all know what happened to Tua in that one. I don't think we should revisit that. The fact is that when Tua Tagovailoa went back onto the field for the Miami Dolphins, we started winning games again. You look at, like, for example, this Chargers game, right? Obviously, I mentioned that Tua was playing horribly. Justin Herbert was a freaking magician out there in the field, and Xavier Howard, who's been letting guys roll over him for the past 2 weeks, has obviously made this defense suspect, all right? Now, does this mean that they're going to lose their games? Again, the hardest part of their entire season is the end of the season this year. Now, you look at the other teams. Let's say, for example, the Chargers, who are 7-6 right now. They're right there in the hunt. You look at other teams right now, such as the Jets, who are also in the hunt. I think they're kind of back and forth right now with Los Angeles. I mean, I forgot the other teams' names, but either way, the Dolphins, despite losing this week, are still 6th place in the AFC. it is the Dolphins' season to lose than it is to really push itself to make the playoffs.
Sure.
You have
Sure.
9 wins in this one. If the Jets even get to 10 wins, I'd be shocked. Don't get me wrong. To see, Mike White go off is pretty phenomenal. To see Joe Flacco go in the game is pretty phenomenal. But the New York Jets should not make the wild card, let alone the playoffs. I honestly do believe, and again, I had hopes of us hosting a game in the playoffs this year, but I think that we should at least make the wild card game and figure out a way to go against Baltimore.
Let me remind you that you are in 6th place.
Yes.
And although you are in 6th place, you're 1 loss away and 1 Jets win away from you being out of that 6th spot.
I'm telling you right now, the Jets should be more worried about the Patriots and the Chargers than they should be worried about the Dolphins.
The Jets play the Lions this week. That will be a tricky game.
If the Jets can pull that off.
If they could pull that off. You've been saying
if listen to me. The Jets play the Lions this upcoming weekend. This weekend will be very interesting. That's a tricky game. But the Dolphins also don't have it any better playing in snowy Buffalo. And the Chargers are playing the Titans. If the Dolphins lose, which I fully expect them to lose in Buffalo in the snow, and if the Chargers win and the Jets win, te jodiste, hermano. You're out.
Bro, for a week, and then we come back. Like, I'm telling you right now, Green Bay's not going to win in Miami.
Let me put this into perspective. That the Jets don't have Joe Flacco and they don't have Zach Wilson. They're playing with a nobody QB, and yet they're on Miami's ass.
They've been on Miami's ass the entire way.
If Joe Flacco was the QB for the Jets right now, I guarantee you the Jets beat the Bills this past week.
Oh my gosh.
Because the Bills does not look that good.
Joe Flacco is not elite Joe Flacco to beat Josh Allen. All right, I know they lost in a close margin. But let me tell you this, Jonko. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
The Jets had the one-in-a-lifetime run in the middle of the season. No one expected New York to do what they did this year. To let alone even still be alive in a playoff spot. That's what I'm saying. Now, as I mentioned before, the Jets have always been on track right behind the Dolphins, right behind the Bills, and so are the Patriots. The entire AFC East could technically make the playoffs this year still.
Yes.
That's how tight it is right now in the AFC. However, as I mentioned before, because the Dolphins have the win over the Bills, the Dolphins have the win over the Pats right now. The only team that we don't have a win over is New York because of Teddy Bridgewater wanting to go play around and then have Skylar Thompson coming out of nowhere. If you ask me personally,
and the Chargers,
it is the only teams that I'm worried about as a Dolphin fan is the Patriots making a comeback out of nowhere. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, the other team that's in the back there, I forgot what team that is. I got to double check right now. But I think that the Jets and Chargers are going to be trading that 7th spot throughout the entire season. Because the question is, do the Jets hold up on their bargain? And does Justin Herbert push this team into a wild card spot?
Right now, it's Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, above Miami. How they started 0-3.
Right.
And then Miami, Tennessee, LA Chargers, the Jets, the Tennessee Chargers and Jets all tied at 7-6. New England right now are playing at the moment are 6-6. Jacksonville at 5-8. Las Vegas 5-8. Cleveland, everybody 5-8, 5-8, 4-8. And then Denver and Houston are already eliminated.
So you think that I'm going to worry about the only people I'm worried about is the New England Patriots to replace that spot.
Jonka, from 1 to 10, how worried should Brandon be right now?
7.5. At the moment, 7.5.
The real question is, hold up, let me double check on something.
I think Tua, when they get pressure on Tua, he faced a good defense. He don't look too good. And the only man that bails that entire team out is Tyreek Hill.
No, let me tell you, Tyreek Hill was on a mission, bro.
Well, he has to.
Bro, did you see the fumble recovery touchdown he had?
I did.
Bro, I don't know what was going on but the Chargers were playing like 70 Steelers football on defense. The Chargers defense was insane the other day, man.
Win some of well, how is it they say? Win some of Terry's money.
Yo, they were winning something, bro. They were winning something. I don't know what they were doing on the sideline. But I'm telling you right now, for the Dolphins itself, I'm not saying it's a guarantee that they make the playoffs this year. However, the idea to say that, like, again, the Chargers and the Jets are going to go back and forth, I think. And honestly, I don't have a lot of faith in the Jets. The only team as a Dolphin fan that I'm worried about is New England. Because, again, we need to beat out New England in Gillette Stadium, which is never easy.
Hey, let me just tell you, the Bengals are in 4th right now. Let me tell you the last 4 games, because this could show you how tough they really are. Because they play the Buccaneers at Buccaneers, New England at New England, Buffalo at home, and then Ravens at home. 4 good teams. And they're really defensively there. So, man, if the Bengals can pull out those 4 games, I'm sorry, bro. Hey. Shit.
Hey, man, look. I know we've gone 11 minutes over
exactly. I don't care.
But it was just way too good not to continue talking about it. We had to talk about it. Hey, so you guys, everyone got 11 extra minutes of Plug Talk Sports today, and we're happy with that. It's the holidays. It's the time of giving. So we give you 12 extra minutes. Well, with that, we're gonna end episode 79 because if not, Jonka, me, and Brandon, we can go on for hours talking about this and debating this sort of stuff, but we don't want to do that to you guys. But we'll be back next week, episode 76, and I'm sure our NFL topic is going to be very interesting. And yes, hopefully next Monday I can report to you that Columbus will be state champions. We'll find out next week on a brand new episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. God bless. See you guys next week.